Ta-da, what is happening out there, my friends in YouTube land? It's yours truly, Rockin' Dave, the real deal, North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida. Welcome to Jazz Fusion Sunday. I am hooked up to the Using the Breedlove. What is happening? Dave Morales, what is happening, my friend? I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Tanya, what is happening? I really, Taylor, I can't type it so small. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am using the Breedlove. This is an older model Breedlove Passport. I think it's a 2009. And I did have the GK2 system on here, but when we got the GR55 a few years back, it came with the GK3. It's just a synth pickup. And so I'm running it through the GR55 guitar synth. And I'm going to do a separate video with this one, how I got this set up. Because the guitar output, I'm running it into the new Boss SY synthesizer pedal. And my guitar effect pedal, the RP360, I've got it ran into the effects loop on the synth pedal, the SY1. And then it's running into the Jamman stereo loop pedals. But I'll do a separate video on that because there's a few things you could do with this stuff that is really cool when you need to. And if you're in a situation where you're doing a gig and, you know, you don't, let's say they wanted mostly acoustic, right? And what's really cool with this unit, this GR55, and then someone says, oh, we want to hear electric guitar sound. And then you tell them, well, this is also electric. And no, they want, you know, something that rock oriented with this. You do have the access of the effects in it. And it's called the delayed Les Paul through a stack. Delayed LP with a plus symbol and stack. So, I mean, you could get all that. Now, the bass patch, I did lay it down with this, with the GR55. Now, what's really cool with this, when I combined it, whether I'm using the BC Rich Warlock or the acoustic, but for the acoustic's sake, let's just do this. So I could combine, you know, a split signal. So I could actually run the dry acoustic sound through one speaker, guitar synth through another speaker, have them stereoed, and then it's like you got two different instruments coming, you know. Now, how I have this set up is on the GR55, I have it split. Now, this I could do the demo with this. My treble strings, I don't have synth. Well, you could hear a little bit. I have the bass dedicated to the D, A, and low E string. I have to get in there and tweak it a little better than that. Now, here is the hold on. Okay. Now here is just the acoustic guitar. I got a little bit of a flange on it. Now here is the RP360 XP. This is the bass patch in here. This you cannot split, so I got it on all 6 strings. Now when I combined it with the distorted guitar of the GR55, so you can see how I can still split it, which is pretty awesome. I'm plugged into, by the way, I'm plugged into the Harbinger 12-inch PA speaker. That's 600 watts at peak, but it's more a little bit lower than that. But it is a very loud amp. And the reason being is because my gig I got coming up on next Saturday, I'm going to be using that. So I have an SKB case, you know, the old guitar amp cases that they came out in the early 2000s. I have one of those for my Marshall amp, but I'm going to put my the Harbinger in there, tilt it back like a monitor, and have it already pre-set up where all I gotta do is take the top off, plug that in, have my pedal board on top, plug that in, the guitar synth, plug that in, and you know, one shot in and one shot out. Because there are times, man, when I'm doing these gigs and I'm tired, it's very hot and humid down here, and you gotta drag all that gear back, and it's the cables, you know, and that's, I mean, I still have a lot of cables. And when I do this video with the Zoom camera, I'll have it pointed down, and I'll show you exactly what I'm using right now for this. But it becomes a little bit of a hassle, you know, especially at the end of the gig. But so yeah, with this particular setup, it's fantastic. It's great. Like I said, if you play jazz fusion, metal, rock, pop, anything. Here's one thing to keep in mind though with guitar synthesizers, no matter which one you get. Randy Tritt, what is happening, brother? I tried to tune in on your live stream, and I was getting my signal dropped, and I think sometimes at nighttime, I don't know what it is, we get a really weak signal down here, and I know we're approaching. We're actually in hurricane season, and I got a feeling that the state does this. They deem certain streaming, or however you want to call it, as non-essential. So you'll have a weak signal, whereas the essentials for, you know, EMSs and, you know, things of that nature, they got to get through. I could be wrong, but I mean, that's the only thing I've been able to come up with, you know. But I really appreciate you tuning in. I'll just have to catch up on the rerun. But what I was going to say with these guitar synthesizers, I did a video I just posted up, and it was a long one, but it was someone had left a comment on one of my older videos. When I mean old, I mean a few weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago. And he said that he's got the Godin acoustic guitar, and he's thinking about getting one of these GR55 synthesizers, and if he needed anything else. And then he's explaining he's running it through a Bose L1 Compact. Well, we happen to have the Bose L1 Compact, so that's why I did that video. And it was actually dry as far as no acoustic guitar coming through the another signal. So you were just hearing just the guitar synth come through that. So it works great through the Bose systems, and actually so does the RP, the Digitech products, the Digitech RP series. They're 500, 1000, 355. I had a 355 before. The RP 360. Out of all the units that came out at that time, the Digitech, and I was not a Digitech fan, not really a big fan, to be honest with you. But the Digitech was the one that I could run it through virtually any PA system we had. Whether our Bose, our Rolands, our Yamahas, our Harbingers, JBLs, whatever it was we ran through, the overdrives and distortions did not clip. They didn't give that really harsh sound. So I tried a Zoom pedal. Now Zoom did step up their game, but I did have the Zoom G5. If anyone remembers that, it was a silver pedal. I think I had it in 2012, and it had a preamp tube. And no matter what I did with that thing, when I run it through any PA, the tweeters would clip. I go back, and my other Digitech one pedal wasn't working because they were plastic, you know. And when I run the Digitech through it, no clipping. Run the Zoom with the tube in it, it would clip. So I'm like, okay, I can't have this. So that's what made me pretty much sold on Digitech products, because they've worked. You know, I've never had any problems with it. But now let me get back with the situation with the synthesizer. So if anyone buys a guitar synthesizer, if you want to create a separate piano, arpeggio, or chord progression, or anything like that, you're going to need to have a loop pedal. I would suggest getting a separate loop pedal, and one that if you could put in a SD card. If you could find these Jamman stereos, especially probably they're a lot more cheaper now. When we bought them, they were like $300 or something like that. Now you could probably get them for $150. I'm telling you, they work, man. They're working. They're real simple. Just because you have these knobs, that doesn't mean you have to use them. These switches up and down immediately, and you don't need the SD card, but it's good to have one. But immediately you could set yourself up for live looping. And so what I'm trying to get at here is, let's say if I wanted to do something. Okay, I got a piano patch here. So let's say I'm doing something like this. Let me see, get something. A little too loud there. So, of course, make sure your loop is working right. Here, let me get a better loop. Let me get that better, my friends. So you can really see what you can do with this. Everyone has bad days, my friend. Maybe I'm having one right now. Here we go. Kind of a generic example, but my point I'm trying to make here is that just because you get a synthesizer doesn't mean that all of a sudden you could start doing separate things. You would have to do separate things, because what it's going to do is going to follow everything you do. It's just going to give that sound. That's all it's going to do. But like I said, when you have looping pedals and things of that nature, I hope everyone is having a rocking Sunday. Yeah, Randy, thank you so much, brother. I want to catch up on some of my chats here, because it's something else down here. We're in the Southwest. We're actually in the Gulf, off of the Gulf of Mexico down here. Yeah, and there are times when we get, just the nature of the area. I guess. I'm not complaining about it, but there are times we get some serious dropouts, and it depends on what time of the day. So it's like, okay, and I feel bad because I like to catch everybody's chat and everything, and that's not time. There are times mine I'll go live and all of a sudden I lose a signal. It's just the nature of the beast, I guess. But there's a lot of cool things you could do with this setup, and I just seen another video of, I think, Moore or one of the other companies has one of the IRs, impulsive responses, or independent recreations, or whatever the hell you want to call them. Maybe they're upping the ante as far as what's going in on the electronic side on diodes and things of that nature, and for the sake of it to go into a computer to match certain, certain things. But this whole situation with going direct is not anything new. It actually dates back way, way, way back. But as far as them making breakthroughs in the overdrive section and distortion sections, if it wasn't Digitech, I'm gonna say it's both Sans Amp and maybe Digitech. Maybe Sans Amp was first, because I remember that little that patch, or that little effect unit that was like a box you could put it on your strap. That was one of the first ones I saw. But Digitech, not too far after that, was starting to experiment with going direct. And I know Korg has, I still have a couple of Korg effect units that could do that. But it just seems that Digitech at the time really, really was just taking over as far as a standard in the industry, to the point where when you would get the Guitar World magazine and they would have, what song to learn to play and then how to get the tone. The latter years, it was Boss Effects, but prior to that, it was the Digitech. And it's because they really, whatever those engineers did, they were able to nail that situation with, getting the direct sound, the direct signal, not to clip tweeters, because it was just horrible. And these things called fly rigs, this is, before there was a term fly rig, we were early 2000s. This is what we were doing because we had to, because of our gig setup and the places we were playing at, and the availability, and what should we bring, all these amps. After a while you want to bring a little less, especially if you're combining electric guitar with acoustic guitar. I lost my live stream 3 times. Yeah. Last night, See, Ray, I don't know what goes on with it. I mean, maybe it's because it's just like overload and everybody is home doing the same thing. Who knows? That could be. But take a good swig of some hot tea, my friends. A little cool down. But, anyways, you lose a couple of these strings. I think maybe it's because of overload and in certain areas. And then if you're in an area where it's storming, it's gonna affect everything. Nothing's perfect. But I'll tell you what, man. I call this like every other Sunday Jazz Fusion Sunday, because Sunday kind of reminds me of like a laid back day, and play these major and minor 7th chords. To me, they're jazz. That's why I call it Jazz Fusion. It's not traditional jazz. I could play a bit of that, but I mean, if I were to spend some good quality time, I would nail it. Even with getting the flat wound strings, to get that tone. Now on this guitar, like the let me grab this real quick. This is the Ibanez. So on the post, it was actually the back. I did have the pickup on here, but I took it off. But on both of these guitars, I put on what do you call Ernie Ball Burley Slinkies. They're actually electric guitar strings, but these are the same gauge, or maybe a little bit slightly thicker by half a point than my acoustic guitar strings. And the only reason is these are not Farser bronze. So I'm testing to see, especially on this guitar, for some reason, my acoustic guitar strings, they tarnish like really fast. So I want to see if these will last a little bit longer, so I get a little bit more tone out of them. And if they do, hey, that's fine. It'll work. I did try coated strings and slightly coated strings and all that, and to me, I'm sure they work, but it's just spending a few extra bucks. And if I don't have to, a few extra bucks could go back in the bank or whatever, Okay, so here's something that's really cool. I'm going to bypass the guitar synth here, the Roland. Now you're going to hear the SY1 pedal. Now, the SY1 Boss synthesizer pedal is $199. And well, this is the box it comes in. Here's the thing with this pedal. There's no built-in reverb. So when you play strings, I got it set for like a phase shifting string. it dies. So what you'd have to really do, let's see if I could bring my volume up a little bit on it so you can hear. See, it'll die. So you may want to get, and I do have a separate reverb pedal, and run it through a reverb just to carry, so you get a little bit of a trail if you want it. But what is cool with this, it does have a hold function. So when, let's say I'm gonna do a little something around the C minor chord, which in my intro, I actually was holding the hold function on the SY pedal. So here's what's really cool with this. Okay, I think I gotta turn this up a little bit. This is what I mean. Okay. So you see, this is what I mean. Sometimes you really gotta mess with this stuff. You know? Well, it can hold, and it does have a separate volume. So let's try that. So I could be having a bad chord there. Here's another thing, I gotta get extra chords. So when we go to these gigs, we try to bring doubles of everything that possible, especially when we're doing a lot of the extremely high-end gigs, because a lot of them they were already paid for. And we made sure that when these people are paying us, and we're dressed real nice and we're in these elegant places and they're expecting professionalism, we're ready, So keep things of that in mind, that you have to make sure that you're prepared, because if you're not, it's gonna look real bad. See, there's a difference between bar gigs and let's say corporate gigs or high-end gigs where you're specifically hired out because of maybe the style you play, and they don't want to have a band, or they don't want to have a band that plays these type of songs. So my point is that there is a difference, and when you do gigs like that, you'll make good money, but you got to be prepared. You got to step up your A game, because it's not like the situation in my last live stream, which was last Saturday at Anchor Inn, and it's nothing on Paul. Paul's a great guy. Anchor Inn's a great place. If you watch the live stream, you're gonna find out. You'll see the lady right when I was playing Stairway to Heaven, or the last part of Stairway to Heaven. Lady came up. She came up to me twice, and she's standing there like she's getting into it. And I'm streaming live and doing my thing. And then she left, and then she came back, and she stood right in front of me, and she yelled. She goes, "Stop, stop!" And then she yelled, "Stop!" And I just looked at her. I kept playing, and I said, "You're being recorded." Huh? And she looked down, and I pointed to the phone, and then she was going to try to come up. Zach Dong, what's happening, my friend? Thank you for tuning in. Yeah. What kind of, Randy, they're actually Ernie Ball Slinky, Burley Slinky. Let me go get the package so you can see exactly what they are. They're actually electric guitar strings, but... And so your third string won't be wound, but I'll get the pack so you can see exactly what these are, because they work great, and they're the same thickness, maybe slightly a little bit thicker. Let me grab it. Back in the day, we would put electric guitar strings on our acoustic guitars just to experiment with a little bit. But let's see. So you can see exactly. Okay, so here's the pack. And that's the gauge. You got 11 to 52. And they do work. They've been working for me so far, which I really am thankful for. And the only reason why I put these on is because, like I said earlier, the Farser bronze, they tarnish real quick, especially on this Breedlove guitar for whatever reason. I really don't know. So I thought, okay, well, let me go ahead and experiment with this. And so far, so good, you know? Because like down here, man, the humidity, it's horrible on the instruments. Humidity anywhere is horrible, but especially when we play in some of these places that's kind of waterfront, and you get that breeze and it's picking up from the salt water, that salt water that gets in the air. And I've seen this happen to one of the bands that play down, and this was in the early 2000s. We were coming down here. We were coming down to Tarpon Springs or Port Richey. And so we see a couple of bands. They're set outside. And then one thing I noticed on almost all the amps, and one of them, the guy had a nice Marshall combo amp. On the corners where all the silver would be, it was all rusted out, man. And the guy even said that's because of the salt. Yeah, and your speakers can get corroded. Absolutely, Janice. Yep, absolutely. So you have to be very careful and realize that, okay, certain areas, and you don't, this is when you find out when you're doing a lot of, not just a lot of traveling. When you're doing traveling and all those shows, the vast majority of those gigs, we were inside. A few of them we were outside. A couple of the shows we did in New Mexico, it was outside. It was, dry heat and everything. But it's when you come down and you're down to an area for a certain duration of time. And even in Texas, I can't remember. No, everything we did in Texas was basically inside. We did the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we were going to actually move to that area. But point being made is that this is what you could see if your equipment is really going to last, and if you want to take out really expensive gear. Sometimes I'm leery with this guitar synthesizer because you could probably get it now for maybe $700. I think we paid about $8 or $9 for it. I can't exactly remember, but it was up there. It was almost $1,000. But how often do you want to drop $1,000 on gear and then it lasts maybe a year because it's being abused by the weather and the atmosphere? Then you gotta go out and replace it, and then replace it, and then replace it. After a while, it's like you get sick and tired of it. I've been very, very fortunate and blessed with our Digitech pedals. These things are workhorses, man. People out there, they could. Rick Romanelli, what's happening? Rick, I'm going to play that piece for you in just a few minutes. I called it, I retitled it Romance. But that piece, Concerto, I can't pronounce it either. But the composer, composer, I believe, his name is Joaquin Rodrigo. And I'll play it in just a moment here. Joe Wentz, what's happening, brother? What is happening, man? Hope you're doing well, man. Joe's a hell of a guitar player. Rick, you're a hell of a guitar player too, man. And I like the way you explain music theory, Rick. You're very knowledgeable and easygoing with it, And there's some people that just they sound confused, you know what I mean? And for whatever reason. And Rick, I don't know, you catch some of the live streams that Jimmy Bruno puts up? Live from the bunker. Jimmy's a great guitar player. Jimmy Bruno, a great jazz guitarist, man. I know some people, if you see some of his videos, might, he's quite a character too. But I understand where Jimmy's coming from. People thought, I guess he was in an accident one time. People thought he was dead, and they were like, okay, he's done with. We can move on, whatever. This is how some people develop that type of personality. They get pushed aside, and it's just not right, man, But he is a great guitarist. So But yeah, it's just you got to make sure the gear works for you. You experiment. If you could get by without spending a whole lot of money, you always win. Now, Joe Wentz has got that Zoom pedal. Now, remember I just said a while ago, I had the Zoom G5, the silver pedal. It had the expression pedals that not only was it able to do this, but it would swivel back and forth. I never really got into the function of how that was supposed to, work. But it did have a preamp too, but it was clipping my tweeters. No matter what I did, it would always clip. So, but now the Zoom pedal that Joe Wentz has, I think he got it for like less than $100. I think the casing is plastic, like a real strong plastic. And I'm kind of looking at that. It'll run on batteries because down here or anywhere, like Ed Dana's playing outside and it's hot, it's hot. It gets hot in the Midwest. It's summertime, right? You got a pedal that's black, it's metal, and that sun is hitting it. It doesn't take very long. When you go to touch that pedal, it's like your hand will burn because that's how hot the pedal gets. With that Zoom pedal that Joe has, he's getting a great sound out of it, and because of it being plastic, I don't think it's going to retain that heat so much. So that's a really, and because it'll run on batteries, if something happens, you slap in double A's, boom, you're good to go, So that's what's cool with that. Now, combined with this S1 synthesizer pedal, there is some bass sounds that does get pretty, it can get pretty low, not... It doesn't it gets almost as low as that, not too much, but it's pretty good. It is pretty good here. So let me go ahead and switch to the Cordoba because I'm going to play this piece, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it before. And again, I titled it something, I based it off of the theme. Let's see, the Zoom G1X, it does well, yep. And yeah, Joe, you get a fantastic sound out of it, man. Go check out Joe Wentz's channel. And that pedal, a lot of times when he's playing, he's using that pedal, and it's like, you got to be freaking kidding me, man. So, and like I said, I think he got it for under $100, maybe like 80 or $89. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about the bigger units. They do sound great. I plugged into the Helix. I really was impressed by the Helix. I was also impressed by the Headrush and the GT1000. But my point is, you're going to spend that kind of money. For me personally, if it's just one-dimensional, and what I mean by that is I could get a killer Marshall sound, a killer Fender sound, a killer Mesa Boogie, a killer, but I can't get so much more multiple. Actually, there's some synth sounds in the GT1000 that is pretty cool. For someone like me, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I need something that could do a variety of things when I need it, But other than that, I mean, for people who want to buy them, go ahead, man. They're great. So let me go ahead and grab this. You guys probably heard this. I know, Rick, you have. Definitely heard this. Because when you mentioned it, and that song that Rick was talking about, Spain, that is a Return to Forever song, Chick Corea. I've seen him play that with Al Di Meola back in 1983. It was a reunion concert. Oh, here comes the popping, my friends. Ouch. So I hope this is good. Let's see. Okay, so I titled this, well, let me grab this, Romance, but it is based off of the theme of Concerto. I can't pronounce the rest of it. I feel embarrassed. I play all these pieces, these Spanish guitar pieces, but I can't pronounce the names. Pretty sad, huh? Anyways, here it is. Every sound that you're going to hear came off of the GR33 guitar synthesizer, which we do have packed in here somewhere. So, without any further ado, here it is. It's a little bit of a long piece, but I'm going to, play some integrate stuff. So, I'm going to... So that piece, I took it and would just add a little bit. Oh, thank you so much. I never really took the time to fully learn that piece. So, and what happens in my situations, I get these gigs and then it's like, sometimes I get all these different styles I have to go through. So I would try to at least pick the main theme and the main melodies and then work around that. And then, thank you so much, Great Vanzini. And just work around that. And my little bit of theory with this, with any song that you're gonna do, if you cannot nail every single part down to the last nuance, at least try to make it sound as good as possible. Get into its main theme so that at least it's recognizable, and just try to make it sound as great as possible. The difference between the steel string guitar, you can still do this with a steel string, but it still has that pinging sound because it's steel strings. And I tell you what I love about with steel strings, when I'm doing a lot of those fast scale runs and those type of like Al Di Meola type of hey, thank you so much, Dale Palmer. I really, really appreciate it. Is that it's very percussive sounded because the strings are tight. So on my nylon string guitars, the strings I use for these is Diodario's, either hard tension, or if I get extra hard tension, I do that because it's tight so that the strings are not so wobbly. But what is nice with a nylon string guitar is you could play to the bridge, but then when you get to the sound hole in the neck, Segovia used to say that you can almost get every timbre out of a guitar. If you want to do like cello, you play like not just cello sound, but that effect, And it's how you pluck the string to give it that little bit of deep, low feeling. And then when you get into the building of guitars with using a lot of cedar wood will have a little darker, warmer sound versus spruce. And this is, I think they call German sycamore wood. So both the front, the top, sides, and the back is that. This is a 2001 Cordoba CW. Let's see if I can find that. CWES/S. So it's a 2001. So this is the model just below what they have, the Gypsy Kings model back then, So it has a very snappy sound, especially acoustically. And so when you do the Roscados technique, it has that effect, Now, when people ask me, do I play bass guitar? And one of these days, I'm gonna drag it out, and I'm just gonna, make sure I got new strings on it, and then work on it. But I remember there was one time I didn't have any of these classical guitar shows. So then, in the wintertime up in north, in Chicagoland, there you chip your fingernails, it's dry, But because I do so much of my technique with the fingers, I did this jam session with my friend's his son, and we just in the basement just jamming away, grabbed the bass, and I was able to do runs like that were sounding like pretty damn authentic, and do the popping and slapping. Because on 4-string bass you got all that space, and then if you could roll your fingers and you do scales, it doesn't take much. You just have to just kind of work with it. But I don't do it too much because then it tears up my fingernails. And when I do get to work, it's like pays the bills, you know what I mean? And I like doing it anyways. And I do like using a guitar pick as well with the nylon string. And just trying to watch my volume. But you see, to me, I like to be able to have the balance of doing the speed bursts and then having melodies. And when I'm doing something very melodic, I try to get into that mindset and that whole mood, because the whole point of it is to kind of draw you in, and give you like a little bit of a journey, a good experience, because as an instrumentalist, this is not the voice. This has to be able to cover a lot of different ground. So let me go ahead and grab the Breedlove again. But what I was gonna say at the last live stream I did, so when that lady was coming up and actually was playing this guitar, and I stood up and I kind of blocked her, and I had two cameras going. I also have a recording with the Zoom Q8, and I had it on the side, so I was thought, well, maybe the side camera didn't catch her shirt, but no, both cameras caught her shirt. My only suggestion to anybody out there, if you're gonna get a little bit drunk and you're gonna go out, and if a person's gonna get belligerent or just make a fool of themselves, do not wear a company shirt, because it's very clear what was on her shirt, and everybody down here knows the company where she works at. Very, very clear. It was a blue shirt with white letters. That's not fancy scripted. You could see it from Pluto. And I'm thinking to myself, I hope she does not lose her job. But what I hope is that if her boss sees that video, or any of their friends, because we know a lot of these people down here, and hey, I checked out your video, Dave. Maybe they didn't see it live right there. Maybe they'll see it next month. But when they do see it, and they see her acting like that, wearing a company shirt, at least I hope they have a word with her and say, look, if you're going to act like that, please do not advertise my company, because that's a reflection of me. And when people see that and they see like, oh, she works over there, I'm going to tell you, they sell a lot of high-end RVs, my friends, very high-end RVs, recreational vehicles, Newmars, Renegade, Tiffin, stuff that's up past above 100,000. Yeah, if you see it, Great Vanzini, it's when I'm playing Stairway to Heaven. So it's, I don't know, maybe it's the fourth or fifth song. It's like one of my first acoustic songs I'm playing. And if you just watch the whole thing playing, you'll see it toward the end, right when I'm coming into the part where, the solo part. And she's standing right there. And I'm thinking, not a good idea to wear a company shirt and get like that. It isn't your, no. Oh yeah, no. Guys, I'm very surprised that I'm able to do some of these covers. I think part of it is because I'm playing them as instrumentals. And we used to do this in the past. Even Mike, our vocalist, he actually came up with the idea, and I thought that was a great idea, at least to make an announcement. If you're going to play a cover song, if you could remember, because we all get in the moment of everything, playing, but if you could remember to make an announcement, hey, I'm playing this song, and please go out and support this artist and buy their CDs and record albums and 8-track tapes, if you still have an 8-track player. It could kind of help out a little bit in this whole copyright thing, because it's been getting pretty tough, man. And so let me grab the other guitar, and I gotta turn this volume down because this is gonna pop like really bad, man. And I know probably some of you guys had seen the video where pretty famous YouTuber put up a video that, again, he got hit, and he actually played a video of Don Henley. He had it on his phone, and Don Henley is still, complaining. He's lost money, blah, blah. You saw that, right, Dale? I know what you're doing. Yeah, that's very public. Okay, let me see that. Yeah, Dale, let me see that. I saw that. That's a very public company, so it might be wise not to. Oh, yeah. Oh, you saw that. Exactly, Dale Palmer. Exactly. And I just hope the lady does not lose her job. But the point is, for anybody, you go out, and even if it's on your time, but you're wearing a company shirt and you're acting like that, you can, if your boss wants to pull you aside and say, hey, man, I'm going to tell you right now, first time is a warning, second time is a written, write you up, and third time is like, oh, yeah, Janice, you saw that too, right? And I was not gonna get belligerent with the lady because I know she had a few. And that's fine. And you know what, my friends, Clive 45. What's happening, my friend? Or 54. I read the numbers backwards. I appreciate. I apologize, my friend. I have no problem with someone not liking my music or not liking my style or not liking. That's fine. They can still be my friend. There's no problems there. Uh, but don't wear a company shirt because it's gonna hit her. Hopefully it doesn't. But I'm kind of hoping that someone at least talks to her because I'm not gonna send it. And the thing is, I'm subscribed to their channel, and I am not gonna send it to them because I do not want to start anything. I really don't. But what I'm hoping is that someone pulls her aside and says, "Hey, I saw this video, and you're wearing a company shirt. Maybe it's not a wise thing to do." And maybe she probably thinks, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. What was I thinking?" I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but it's not a good idea to do that, you know. Um, but yeah, so with the copyrights and this guy's, complaining, and I understand playing these cover songs. It keeps the music alive, and if you think about it, if you've ever gone to see an orchestra play, an orchestra is like a huge cover band. If you think about it, you know what I mean. Even though, but they're playing music that is very intricate, um, and they're keeping that music alive. Music that's centuries old, so they're keeping it alive. So likewise, it's nice to be able to do covers to keep that alive. But here is the problem: whoever owns that material, they are the owner of it. Whether it's the writer, whether it's the public, whoever. And the thing is that I would not get on YouTube and try to make demands to try to make myself feel entitled that I have a right to play these. And if I'm making money off of the backs of other people, and if they want to say, Dave, any one of these, when I do these cover songs, any one of these people want to contact us or their attorney, however they want to go about it, and say, look, we don't want you to play our music anymore live because we know you're out there making money and we lost money. I don't care how many millions they have. Um, some people think that everyone is filthy, stinking rich, and if you really think about this, they might be, but they might not be because let's say they paid that $1 million, multi-million-dollar mansion they have is paid off in full. They still have property taxes. All those high-end cars, sports cars, and collectors, maintenance costs money. If they have kids, if they have younger kids going to school, they want their kids to go to the best school, right? They got a reputation to uphold, right? Money, 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 money. So if more money is going out the door than is coming in, especially in this day and age of free downloading, I could see where they hit the panic button, and um, that's that's the lifestyle they wanted to live. That's fine. But I guess the point I'm making is I put this on myself. I don't put this on anybody else. If they come and tell me, Dave, I know you did your version of No Quarter or, of Europa. That's nice, but it's still our music. We don't want you to play it. I'll honor it. I'll honor it because I understand. I'm not going to try to see, oh, that's not fair, man. See, there's fair use. There's this. All that does is open up yourself to a can of worms. And always remember, the bigger your channel gets, the more of a target you're going to make yourself, and the more they're going to hit you. And there is absolutely nothing stopping these people from shutting your channel down, legally going after you, because there's one thing everyone has to remember. How much money these people have, they might have more money than a lot of us. They could afford those high-end attorneys. They could afford to take you back and forth to court, back and forth, back and forth. See you drain your bank account because now you got to hire an attorney because you're really the one that is doing what they're telling you not to do. You know what I mean? And I don't like saying stuff like this because this is not to get combative with anybody or anything like that. But when I see these videos and I see these people really complaining about it, I do understand. We do keep the music alive. But just think in terms of if that was your only sole source of income, and all of a sudden, boom, you just lost everything, right? No more money's coming in, and you still have bills to pay. My suggestion is if you cannot make it with music, you better find another profession and learn how to do something. And as we get older, A lot of you know it's not easy to get a job unless you have a good driving record, and you get a driving job. That's and I'm not trying to be funny about it, but I'm gonna tell you right now, Joe Wentz, he's a driver. He knows I got a driving job. I know a lot of other people out there drive. Right now, that's the only business that I know of that will not discriminate against your age or not look down at you, or you're going to have a heart attack, you can't pick up something heavy, whatever the case might be. You got a good driving record, you're healthy, you're not doing anything that you're not supposed to be doing, boom, we want you. You know what I mean? And I don't mean to say things like that to demeanor anybody and kill their ambitions of being a professional musician, but this industry, my friends, is very much in the hole, and it's not to put anything down. Yeah, sure, you can play it, just don't put it. Yeah, Janice, you're right. Yeah, you can play it, just don't put it on YouTube. Now, somebody did say, might have been you, Janice, that said that they might have changed something where I have seen this. You're watching someone do a cover, and right in the middle, boom, there's an ad. Boom, there's an ad. Boom, there's this. Like it gets interrupted. And again, this is because of the internet. There's no one policing the internet. It's a great idea. I think what happened was when they came up with YouTube, they came up with the idea, well, this is for the average person to put up videos of, their daughter or their son having a recital or a sporting event or home videos and to share. I don't think they really had the idea that you'd be able to go on YouTube and you could see Speed Racer. Remember Speed Racer, the old cartoon, or the old original Spider-Man with J. Jonah Jameson, the old 1960s, or the 1970s version of Star Trek, the cartoon, or Land of the Lost, or then the Robin Trower video. No one thought that this was going to be going on. I was kind of shocked when I started seeing all these videos come up, because to me, I thought, well, YouTube, people just video themselves and they put it on the internet. Yeah. Oh, Beatles cartoon. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, and I do remember Planet of the Apes, but someone did correct me. It was entitled The Return of the Planet of the Apes, but I do remember the cartoon, the animated series. It was like 1971 or 72. I remember all that stuff, as a kid, so thought it was cool. But no one thought all this would be up on YouTube. And what happens, the industry hits the panic button. And it's more of the music industry than it is the movie industry or, television. Now they got networks, kind of guarding and policing it so they can make money. Now, what we might see with YouTube, and we might see this with major artists and the major record labels, is every time they put up an album or there's a live concert, it might have to go as the pay-per-view. Remember back when the cable TV was kind of the new thing, and then you wanted to watch something, it was pay-per-view, you have to pay for it. Who knows? That might go in the works. And the only reason why I say that, if they do something like that, that could help equal things out with them and their finances. Because I'll never forget the conversation that we had. Well, actually, we didn't have. We were at a conference, 2008, down in San Marcos, Texas. And one of the guys on the panel said that the biggest mistake that the music industry made is they did not fully embrace the internet. Because if they would have fully embraced the internet, record stores would not be going out of business. Coconut Records, Rose Records, Tower Records, and any record stores that you guys used to have in your area. And I'm not talking about a record selection that used to be in the Borders bookstores or Best Buy or Target or Walmart. I'm talking about actual record stores. You might have older record shops that will still sell vintage vinyl as well as newer CDs, but it's not like it was back in the day, man. You had record shops all over the place that would specifically sell music. We don't have that anymore. And so because of that, everyone loses money. Because of that, it snowballs. Everything snowballs into this situation. So this is what I mean. And I like doing the covers that I do too. But again, if they say that's it, Dave, sorry, we're gonna hang you by your drawers upside down. And no, okay, I guess that's it. Yeah, it all started with being yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, Dale. Yeah. And to be honest with you, I remember when people were asking me about what taking naps, I really didn't understand it because I was in a situation where I was had to wasn't a really good situation, put it that way. Um, you know, I had to work a lot, and then this was way before I met Deb, and keep the music floating and all kind of things. So things happen, but you learn how to deal with them. Yeah. As soon as people had a file instead of a cassette or record, exactly. See, our digital downloading was really analog downloading, and anyone in the Chicagoland area, and I'm going to say any area that you lived in, Chicago can't possibly be the only place they had this. Everyone probably had this. But back in the day, we had a couple of rock stations that was very popular, the Chicago Loop and then WMET, the Mighty Met. But the Loop station would have album sides. I couldn't remember what day of the week and what time it was, but I do remember we'd all get our cassettes and we would buy the 90-minute cassette because on a 90-minute cassette, you get 45 minutes per side. So we wanted to make sure we didn't miss anything. And boom, when they do an album side, we'd put the tape in and boom, and hit record. And somewhere laying around, I have some of those old cassette tapes, And maybe people thought, well, that's going to ruin it for record sales, but it really didn't, But see, what makes it different with this day and age is everyone's got access with these smartphones and anywhere, boom, you could just go on YouTube and boom, download, and there you got the whole album. That's what the problem is. Good on your. I tried let's see, Great Benzini. I tired of getting claims on free backing tracks, so I'm mostly this is what I mean. Here is the catch-22 with all of this. Okay, it's a shame, but that's what it's come down to, Great Benzini. Yeah, exactly. Now, if you want to buy the backing tracks, you can't pay for them. And that's great because they'll make money. You'll get what you want. Boom. Everybody wins. Here's the catch-22 and the flip side of all of this. And I know I'm doing more talking than playing, and I apologize, my friends. I try to keep Jazz Fusion Sunday with more playing, but next week I'm going to try to stream live, so there'll be a lot of playing. But anyways, so here's the catch-22 with the copyright claims and all of this. It is going to give people the incentive to start writing their own music. And when I hear some of these YouTubers, and I'm talking about people with these million-plus channels, subscribed channels and all that, and they make the claim, well, how am I going to teach somebody, let's say, a certain scale and how it works with a song? Well, my suggestion is come up with a chord progression that could be kind of similar, but you're not going to get copyrighted, but it could be in the same style, and then use that as an example. The whole point is, what draws a person into a song? Is it, well, I heard that song before and I know it. Okay, well, yeah. But if you have not heard that song before, what is drawing you to like that song? Because think about it. As the song is playing, that is your first time you're hearing it. Chances are it's played very well. It has maybe a good rhythm that you like and a good melody that you like. So I think what has happened, and I know especially in the live circuit, when I hear people say, oh, you got to play what people want to hear, and then you got to sing, and then you got to do this, and you got to do that. They're partially right, but they're not 100% right. And I would have these conversations with these people, and they look at me like I just grew a third eyeball or something. I would use the analogy of this. When you go to a new restaurant and the wife or the husband says, hey, why don't you try a new dish? Or the waitress or the waiter comes out, hey, we got this new dish. You want to try it? Yeah, why not? I'll try it. I might like it. Why can't people use that same concept with music when they go out to see a live band play? Why don't you give the musicians a fair shot of saying, wonder what they have to offer? I might like it. I might not like it. Okay. But it gets very redundant when you go to club after club and then you're hearing that song played maybe differently. Maybe it's your favorite song. That's fine. But then you got to sit through 4 sets of the same songs that you just heard last week and the week before last and the week before that and the week before that. So if a person wants to test the waters to see how long it'll take for them to just go stir crazy, play your favorite song all day long. Put it on repeat. And chances are by the end of the day, when the song is finally done playing, you might say, you know, I like that song, but I'm kind of tired of hearing it. You know what I mean? It's a way to give people this opportunity to hear new music and to hear new musicians play their version of a song or a song that they wrote, and just give them that opportunity, give them that chance, because it's really needed. Now, when I scored this gig at Yucatan's, we were there Thursday, Deb and I having lunch, and I happened to talk with the waitress, and I said, "Hey, you guys have music here because of the COVID and the coronavirus and all that?" She says, "Yeah, we're still keeping it open. You know, people are social distancing and all that." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, who would I talk to about getting a gig here?" And then I explained to the waitress. This blew my mind. This was great. Let's see. I still have the old crappy version. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Let me get on with this statement because it just blew my mind. So, and the waitress, she was young, maybe in her mid-20s, okay. And I said to her, I said, "Well, you know, I'm a guitarist. I play very similar to what you guys are playing on the overhead. And so with this type of setting, I could do more jazz oriented. And then the guitar synthesizer, I could do the steel drum sound and all that." And I said, "But you know, I do everything instrumental. I don't sing." This girl looks at me and she says, "Yeah, but it's still music." And I thought, finally, the light bulb is on, and it's very bright that it's on. This young girl understands that just because you don't sing doesn't mean it's not entertaining. Just because you don't sing does not mean it isn't still music. So she said, she gave me the card and says, "Yeah, call the lady and we'll see what we do." And I told her we would offer a pro bono show, it's meaning free. See, sometimes you got to be careful when you talk to young people. If you say pro bono and you're talking to a young girl, that could be misconceived, like, "Huh, what'd you say to me?" You know what I mean? So if you say free, okay, I understand that, because it could almost be borderline, dude, are you trying to get fresh with me or something? Because bono, the word free, pro bono, you know what I mean? I try to stay away from all that stuff because I do not want to put myself in a situation. So she thought that was a really good idea. So so then, Buck Lester, how you doing, my friend? Good seeing you, buddy. Thank you for tuning in. So the next day, I get on the blower and I call this lady and I make the offer. And she says, "You know, that's actually a good idea." She says, "I think we could do that." And I said, "And then, you could test the waters. If it doesn't work, that's fine. That's not going to change our perspective on your restaurant. You guys have great food, great service. We will still come out and still patronize your restaurant, because we had a good experience." That's wonderful, Dave. I appreciate that. So I gave her my number and we locked in the day. She was almost going to give me an evening, but I said, "Look, I'm going to do a Saturday for be next Saturday, but I see you already have people set at like from 4 to 7. I said, "How about if I come in, let's say maybe 1 o'clock?" So in this way, that musician, he still has his evening gig. This is something to do as a trial run. And then maybe if it works, maybe I could come in, maybe, and I didn't tell her this, but this is what I'm going to say to her. And if it works out, and if you're pleased with my performance and how I handle myself with your audience and your customers, If you want to have me come in maybe once a month or maybe once every other month, that's fine. That's fine. And but she had no problem me putting me on the calendar and say, okay, let's go. So I had said this months ago about with all that's going on with the clubs, they open, they shut down. Some of them they opened up and then they shut back down here, and this is happening everywhere. So when I made the comment about maybe what we need to do as musicians, offer the club owner maybe a free gig and see where it goes. And in this way, these club owners who maybe that you're kind of like doing this to, maybe they're going to see, hey, maybe that guy is not such a bad guy after all, because he understands I own this restaurant, I'm losing money, I have overhead, I still have bills I have to pay. And this guy is willing to come in to offer a free show, and he's made the comment he does not want to see my place go out of business. I guess that's something that seems to be working a little bit here, because this is the second club we're doing, and I put the tip jar because she asked me, what do you normally charge? And I told her what we charge, but I also said, but we'll work with your budget, because we do not want to see places go out of business. That's a horrible thing, my friends. It's one thing for us musicians, and it's very tough for all of us. But there's one thing we have over all of these people. We are mobile. We could go anywhere. You got a brick and mortar building, or what they call sticks and bricks building, you're stuck to that location, you're stuck to that building. You got if you're paying rent, you got to pay rent to the place. If you own the place outright, you got property taxes, you got utility bills, you got the inspection, city inspection. I mean, the list is like this. You know what I mean? So to understand their perspective of what they go through, it is good to kind of come in the middle and say, hey, look, I want to work with you guys, and we want to have a win-win for you and a win-win for us. And so far, it seems to be working. And I'm going to be targeting quite a few other places with that. Now, if they say, no, we're not interested, that's fine. I'm not going to put up a hissy fit, because it doesn't make any difference to me. And we're the ones offering the free gig. So we put the tip jar out. And I told her that with the tip jar, and we got merchandise to sell and things of that nature. So if there's anybody that's out there that is gigging, I'm not trying to tell you guys and gals what to do, but this is something that might work for you, because to keep in mind, it's something that could open up doors and open up new business relationships that otherwise maybe you didn't have a good business relationship with a club owner or a potential club owner, and they said, no, we don't want you here, or no, you got to do this, that, they, some of these people, they string you out. In this situation, everyone's been losing money, everyone's hitting the panic button, and you come to realize no matter how maybe rude a person has been to you, you've come to realize they still have overhead, they have a family to support, they have employees to support. And I think what happens when you see that big picture, and you could see what could happen to these people when they lose everything, some of these people go into an incredibly deep depression. And it's not a good thing to see, and it's not a good thing to hope on anybody. So I, even with so-called my worst enemies out there, I don't want to see them lose everything, because it's not easy to make a comeback, especially as we get up in our years, as we get older. You start burning through all that money, well, it's tough. There's a guy that opened up a place down here, and he opened it up, I don't know, 5 or 6 months just before this virus hit and shut everything down. He invested over $1 million into this restaurant club, and he was on the news. It was on the news down here, and he's standing in front of his beer cooler, and he says, look at all this beer. I have to get rid of this because I can't sell it, because if I try to sell this and it goes bad and somebody gets sick, they're going to come back after me. So these people are just, it's sad to see this. So, and hopefully this guy's got more than $1 million in the bank to invest it. Usually people with that kind of money, they do. but that's one hell of a hit to take. And who knows if he's going to reopen? I hope he does. I really hope he does, because then I'll tell you what, I lost $1 million. I might not be above ground. I might be 6 feet under. You know what I mean? I don't mean as a joke, but So let me go ahead and grab this guitar here. And we've all experienced now. Let me see what's happening here on the chat, my friends. Floppy. It almost sounds like floppy. Does everyone who tracks I use, I buy them and I ask. Yeah, you know what, Rick? When I was doing the live gigs and I would spotlight a lot of the YouTubers, I would ask them for their permission. And I do remember that girl that's from Denmark. She kind of changed her name, but she was going by her name Philippa Q. And I remember I sent a message, on the comments, and I asked. It was one of her originals. I thought it was kind of cool. It's kind of cool that here's someone young, and I'm out there playing, and it's a kind of cool chord progression. So I did send a message if I could spotlight her song, and make sure you ask your parents, because I want to make sure I get the permission. Well, she sent me back a message. She said, "What spotlight?" Because she didn't understand, and I told her I'll be playing your song in front of a live audience down here. Because you'd be surprised, my friends, there is a lot of people, let me grab the guitar here, there's a lot of people that they still do not get on social media, and they do not get on YouTube. So to them, this is a totally different world, So it is surprising, but it happened, there's a lot of people that simply don't. So I try to get people's permission, with Joe Wench, he was very gracious to let me. Jim Guidry, I think Adana, Rick. I think I've done one of yours, Rick. But I try to get people's permission, and what it is these people that come to these places, and it's always after I have the camera off, and I'm like, damn, why can't they say this when the camera's on? They'll come up to me and they'll say, that song you just said, what's that guy or that girl you said they're on what, YouTube? And then I tell them, that's pretty cool. And I tell them, here, go to their channel. So hopefully some of these people see your stuff, and then they say, oh, this is a totally new world here. Okay, this is kind of cool. And maybe they could start subscribing. Yeah. And let's see. Great Vanzini said floppy, almost like as in floppy disk. It's kind of a little bit uncomfortable sitting like that. Let's see. Yeah, we played a live stream for free. The club ran sound and lights for us. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, there's a lot of places they'll allow you to do that, but there's some places, man. I was trying to do this for all you guys and gals out there. What it's like getting the gigs, at least down here in Southwest Florida. And the reason being is it's a huge retirement place, huge boating state, huge tour state. But when I would go in with my camera, I would ask these people if I could record the conversation. I said to them, you don't have to be on camera. I could just have the camera facing me. And every single person I was talking to, they said, no, we don't want to be live or record the conversation. So I never did, because I wanted to give them that respect and honor, because there's a lot of people. If they slip and they say something, they know it's out there, and they could come right back at them. And I understand, it's kind of too bad I couldn't do that, so people could see, pre-COVID coronavirus, what some of these people were, how they were conducting themselves. But see, now a lot of them, they ate humble pie. And nobody saw this thing coming. Nobody did. So now they're coming to the realization of, okay, how do we make this better, not just for us, but for everybody, because they've lost so much money, Let's see what's in the comments here. Yeah, they are doing that literally. Oh, they're doing that literally. So it explains why copyright is being, Dale, why copyright is being enforced, and YouTube doesn't want to spend. Yeah, see, Dale, that's just it. And this famous YouTuber, he did say it's got really nothing to do with YouTube. However, it's on YouTube. So Google and the CEO of YouTube now, then they got to think, okay, how do we avoid, the music industry coming after us because we're not policing this? And now it's like, they say guilty by association. So how do we get around all this? And again, even when you go to see an orchestra play, they're playing, if they're doing a series of Bach, right? It's like a tribute band. They're playing covers. The only difference is they've got the rights to do that. They're keeping that music alive. And you ever notice when you go see an orchestra play, and if you get the music program, and it'll say on the back all the sponsors, and it's always major companies that are sponsoring classical music to keep it alive because they see the importance. It's great for education. I'm hoping that could also morph into classical guitar and also morph into guitar as in general, because there is a lot of great stuff that came out in the 60s and and before then in pop music and in blues. We have blues societies all over the place. We have jazz. It should also spill into the classic rock and even into classic metal, because all these styles of music, they borrow from each other. And what it does, it helps keep things creative, because the last thing we need is seeing a drop off of youth, a whole generation of kids just totally saying, oh, this ain't cool. My dad plays one of those guitars, or one of the Warlock or something. That's what my parents do, my grandparents. That's old farts activities. We're young. We don't, we want to keep it going. Because we start to see what happens with a generation loss that's not interested in guitar playing. Whether it be good or bad, it just spills into something else. And then, next thing, these kids out there. And back in the day, we used to have rehearsal studios. It was not uncommon to go up and down Ashland Avenue in Chicago and hear bands play. And there was a place on Lake Street. It was called the Noise Factory. And it was old abandoned warehouses that would have bands playing, the rehearsal spots, or garages out in the suburbs where people get together and play. That was, or in the basement, That's where the term garage band got it, because it was people who playing in the garage, Okay, so I'm getting like really, really backed up here. And Dana, what is happening? I was listening, went at three stores and got gas, came home, and you're still Dan, and I try to keep it as an hour, but then I kind of get carried away, and so but yeah, I mean, that was Rick had a great live stream there, now this actually on my other YouTube channel, if you type in Dave Byron 12 strings, that was done on the Ibanez 12-string guitar at a church at Naperville, Illinois. It was called the Naperville Settlement, and it was in their church, all wooden church, and it was actually in January, so they still had the Christmas decorations up. So it was a combination of hearing that 12-string guitar, combination of hearing it acoustically, of the sound bouncing off all the wood structure, and electronically ran into the Bose L1 Compact. And it's a little piece called 12 Strings. But I'm going to play it with the guitar synthesizer and on the 6 strings. Oh, I turned down the volume on this. There we go. Okay. Try to do a natural fade out. One of the tricks is if you're using a pick, try to find a way to fade out your backing track, blend in, and then use the flesh of the thumb, so you don't get anything that's harsh, especially with steel strings. You know, it's a little different with steel strings for me. Um, so they did bring out a hard drive. So the dog paw. What is happening, my friend? Let's see. I've been live after day. Uh, let's see. I'm going live after Dave to try my. Oh, yeah. You know what, Ed? I'm not going to be on here too much longer because I don't want to, waste up everyone's time. one of these days I gotta just start put a little timer, so I don't go over too far. Um, Dave, can you use my stuff anytime? Oh, thank you, Ed. I really appreciate it, man, because you know what? It does bring music out to these clubs, and you'd be surprised. I really wish I could get people to come up while my phone is still streaming live, so you guys could hear this feedback. But for whatever reason, I mean, it's like you couldn't time it if you planned it. You know what I mean? But when I shut the camera down, I'm getting ready to, pack up, and then all of a sudden, they just got done with their last drink and they just burped and everything else and farted and whatever. But they'll come up and I could tell they're being honest, and they'll say, that was pretty cool. I've had people. These are the comments I've had. They would ask about, oh, what song was that? We never heard that, and we kind of like that. And then I asked, well, what song are you talking about? And they say, yeah, you mentioned something about YouTube or the internet. And then that's when I would tell them. And they thought I'd go into a little bit of a story of why I do that. And they'd look at me and they'd say, I think that's a great idea, because there's a lot of people that simply do not get on the internet because a lot of people don't trust it. Flat out, man. So they think that's a great idea. And I says, well, just think about it. If these people wanted to relocate down here and they come out, now you kind of heard of them. So you got more of you're more of aware of it. You know what I mean? And then you get to meet them and, and all of that. But it's a great idea to do. And I enjoy doing it, man. I really enjoy doing it. Even if I'm just playing rhythm and you guys are jamming. I did that to, I think, one of Joe Wentz's songs. I just kind of would play along with the chord progressions just so people could hear what Joe is doing. Or like what Ed Dana or Rick, Rick Ramonali. All you people, doesn't matter. I try to do it with originals. I see if I could do with the covers. But boy, I tell you what, man, I've just, it's just, that's a different subject for another time though. But what I'm saying is people do like that. They really appreciate that. And even with Janice Lala, if I could, Janice, I could use it. Great, Janice. I'm glad. See, I got your permission. Boom. Because now this Saturday, that's what I'm going to do. And go ahead and put it live out there and let these people hear it, man, and you'll see what I mean. So in other words, if you saw the post I did where Deb and I are eating, and I said this is Yucatan's and you can see the waterfront, and that video I try to get Pan inside there. These are the places that we have down here. And I'm gonna tell you right now, what's so cool about it is I'm 56. They're my age, older, and some a little younger. So it's like our whole generation, we were younger. That's what's happening down here, and it's fantastic, man. It's just so kick-ass because it's like we're reliving our youth. You know what I mean? And these people, that's what they're not ready to be sitting in a rocking chair at some nursing home. A lot of these people are very active. They want to relive their youth. Their kids are grown. They've done their job raising kids. They've retired from their businesses or their jobs. Now it's back to playtime and enjoying life. And so that's what's really cool. And that's why I said when I watched some of Ed Dana's his videos of his band playing, Ed, the music that you're playing down here or you're playing would go great down here. Now this song I'm going to learn this and work on this, you know. So that, but really quick, I just want to show you what some of the stuff I might have to do, which is really kind of cool, is with the steel drum. Now you can combine it with the acoustic guitar. So there's a couple of songs I'm going to be doing with a little bit of the steel drum, and then I'll blend in some of the rock stuff. But yeah, as long as I get you guys permission, yeah, man, I'll go ahead and lock it into my loop pedal, and I'll play very lightly behind your guys' rhythm, so they're going to hear more of you guys than they will me. And I'll learn the song, whatever you're doing, but I want them to hear you guys because, it's something that I was shocked. And then, like I said, everyone says this when I'm done and I'm packing up. They think it's a really cool idea and they're enjoying it. That's what's really cool. So I want to just, yeah, Dog Paw, all you guys, every single one, as long as I get your permission, just kind of like what Metalhead Hippie's doing. And then remember EJ's Guitars? He was doing this like a year or so ago, kind of spotlighting YouTubers and kind of helping people's channels grow and people, making it aware. I just figure since I'm out gigging, what the hell, what do I got to lose? Go ahead, see what happens, right? Because people, I'll tell you what, people are really starved to hear new music. They really, really are. And yeah, Zach, it's just, what's going on down here. So let me say, I'm going to have to catch up with these chats. So anyways, my friend, I really think, yeah. Oh, you lived in Lisle. Yeah, we saw Robin Trower live at, I think it's Eyes to the Sky in Lisle. And I have a cassette tape of, I asked him, I said, when we went backstage and we met Robin Trower, and I asked him if I could record. And he said, yeah, no problem. And he said, he's a big fan of Chicago. He's never heard of Lisle, Illinois. And I think he's also from Birmingham, England. And that's my mother-in-law is from Birmingham, England. So we talked a little bit about Birmingham and that. Then I told him what a great inspiration Robin Trower has been in my playing in the blues rock sector and everything. And I think the British have taken our Chicago blues and they've amped it up. And it's like they came and they brought it back with that sound, that style. Zeppelin 1, Zeppelin 2, and Hendrix and Hendrix. He was very much influenced by Buddy Guy, and all the stuff that we had back in the day, man, it was so inspiring. It was so, back in the 70s and the 80s was a great time to be young and to be a musician. At least, I thought so, because that's my generation right there. But to be able to go to these places, and in the Chicagoland area on Lincoln Avenue, we had all the folk music places. So it was really cool stuff there. One of the places we played at was a place called Orphans. And we had Holsteins. And there's a few other places. The names, escape me. It's been so long. So then you had that. And then around Halsted and then Belmont. And then even West Rosa's is on Armitage Avenue, if she's still out there on Armitage. But we had all these blues clubs, man. And then all in between that, we had all the jazz clubs. And then if you wanted to go and do metal, you'd go out to like Fox River Grove, and we had the Thirsty Whale. And then toward the west side of Chicago, getting out to the suburbs, you had the metal clubs there. So, and it was very, very common to see people play original music, especially in the metal sector. And then a few covers, and people were able to really just spotlight their talent. And that was a great time, man. It really was. And I we didn't really have all these tribute bands. And I understand the tribute bands to kind of keep the music, alive and all that. But we did have a very healthy music scene. And it wasn't just Chicago. If it was happening in Chicago, it was happening in New York, it was happening in Ohio, Seattle, Portland. It was everywhere. Everywhere. It was a great time, But see, now it's different. But see, where it's different, at least down here, in any place that is high retirement state and or tourist state, people are going back to their youth. And this is what I mean. So I know there's places in Texas that are like this, and anywhere on the West Coast and East Coast where there's anything that's tourist, and again, senior city or retirement state, it's like we're reliving our youth again, and it's great, man. It's so kick-ass. You see someone. When I started playing, it was 1974. So when I see somebody that's got short, with almost balding, their hair is all gray, and they're wearing a polo shirt, or they might be in a suit or something, and they're going like this to me, and I'm playing Black Sabbath or something like that, and they're going like this. It strikes me as odd, because in my mind, I still see them like I did when I was back in 1974. Oh, those are the older people, so I better play real nice. See, time went by. We lose our hair goes gray, and we get old, but our youth doesn't leave us. You know what I mean? And it is so cool to see, because it's energy being fed both ways. You know what I mean? But Anyways, my friends, I really appreciate everybody tuning in. You guys are absolutely the greatest, man. You know, we love you guys so much. If there was one dream, you know, it's nice to be able to sit with my peers and be able to jam with like someone like Al Miola or Steve Vai or something. You know, that's fine, and that's all cool. I do mean that, you know. But what I think is equally cool now is meeting all you guys in person and just if not just jamming with you guys, just sitting and having a great conversation. Because everybody inspires me. Because in my mind, I'm still like the big guitar fan I was when I was a little kid. None of that ever left me. I guess I'm very blessed and honored, you know, and fortunate, and I did a lot of practice. But that whole mindset of when I watch people play, it's still that wow factor, and I just thank God it never went stale for me. Because some people get stale. I just absolutely love it. But you guys are totally awesome. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and please, you know, subscribe to each other's channel. We help support, and you know, there's only 24 hours in a day. I do not take it offensive if someone cannot watch all my videos. I leave them up whenever you guys get the time. You guys are more than welcome. You're always welcome on this channel. You guys are totally awesome, my friends. So we'll catch you probably next Saturday. I'm gonna put together, you know, some of your videos, the songs that I'll play, and I'll send you out on the comments, because right now that's all I know how to do. I'll send you the comments, so when you watch, spotlight your stuff, and you know, really, really appreciate it. Anyways, my friends, until next Saturday from 1 to 3, we're going to try to do the stream. We'll see you next Saturday. Until then, my friends, you stay safe, you stay true, rock on, and God bless you. Take care. We love you all.